both players' feet come up into Gervais' face area.
Welcome to Instant Replay for MLS Match Day 12. I'm your host, Andrew Wiebe, and as always, we're taking a closer look at the most controversial refereeing decisions in Major League Soccer. We start with Sunday Night Soccer. British Columbia, Vancouver, LAFC, a clash of titans in the Western Conference, and two big decisions to look at. We'll start with the biggest. In the 70th minute, Whitecaps down 2-1. Eddie Ocampo, the young right back, going into a challenge with his elder statesman, Ryan Hollingshead. Is it a foul? Referee Joe Dickerson says no, play on, and as we continue play, bang, Brian White doing what Brian White does, scoring the equalizing goal. But LAFC are certain, they are making their case. This is a foul. This play should go to video review and be taken off the board, and of course, the VAR, Edwin Jurasevich, is taking a very close look. In the end, no review initiated and the goal stands. So let's dig in. First of all, this is not a case of APP. As Taylor and Jake explained on the broadcast, it's foul or no foul. No need to complicate things. And importantly, since the call on the field was no foul, any foul call to overturn the goal must be clear and obvious according to the VAR Jurasevich. I had a good view of this one live. Field side, looking down that sideline, I felt Ocampo got a slight touch. Let's check that feeling. I'm going to watch it back with you and we'll pretend to play VAR. First of all, Mark Delgado is blocking one of our best views from the high camera, so that one's not going to tell us anything. The view we've got to focus on is from behind the play. I don't think Ocampo steps on Hollingshead when making this challenge, so for me, the foul would be arriving late and a little hip check that takes Hollingshead down. Only, I'm going frame by frame here, and in my opinion, watch it right there, Ocampo gets a slight touch on the ball. I see the trajectory of the ball change. Because of that touch, and the fact that any foul would need to be clear and obvious to go to review, I've got no foul and a good goal for Vancouver by literal centimeters. Does that change how LAFC feel? Probably not. In this case, the initial call on the field is the decision everything hinges on. Had Dickerson called the foul live, everything changes, but he let play go on. In the end, I think goal was the right decision. And I think yellow card was the right decision for Jaden Nelson in the 57th minute. Nelson and Sergio Palencia were getting after it in this game, and whoa, yes sir, hello orange card. As a thought experiment, even though I think yellow is good, let's try to make the case for a red card. And remember, slow motion always makes things look much, much worse than a live view. Let's start with the facts. We've got Nelson's studs exposed with a bit of a lunge there, then Palencia clearing the ball, which carries his foot into those studs. Ouch. Would excessive force apply here for serious foul play? Not for me. I see Nelson leave both feet, but more of a hop than launching him into the challenge. I don't see the force going past reckless into excessive. But how about endangering the safety of your opponent? That's where I think the real case for red applies, because Nelson is exposing his studs to a player kicking the ball in that direction. And even though Nelson is not over the top of the ball, he catches Palencia on the top of the foot and ankle. That obviously hurt Palencia, and in the end, while all of our internal red card alarms went off on this one, it is for sure borderline, I am again fine with the yellow card. I just don't think it quite crosses the threshold from reckless into excessive force or endangering, and I don't see any evidence on review that would cause Jurasevich to get involved. Yellow's the right call for me, but I'd love to know what you think. Here's one I really struggled with this week. 38th minute of the Houston-Seattle game. Ball over the top. Femi Odesu is battling with Danny Musovski, and Odesu clears it, but Victor Rivas, the referee, is pointing to the spot and pulling out a red card for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Let's start with what we see. It does look like the ball hits the right arm of Femi, but to me, clearly outside the penalty area. Jorge Gonzalez, the VAR, initiated review on this one, and Rivas saw the same thing. Penalty was overturned, but Rivas stuck with the red card for dog-so. And I struggle with that as well. If it is a handball, it's dog-so, given the 1v1 situation, but I just think calling that a handball is really harsh. For me, it's not deliberate. I don't see Odesu recognizing the position of the ball and bringing his arm to it, so you can check that box off. Therefore, Rivas must be deciding that Odesu is making himself unnaturally bigger. Remember, the law goes like this, quote, the position of their hand or arm, the defender in this case, is not a consequence or justifiable by the player's body movement for that specific situation. To me, the specific situation line is really important here. This is a leaping, hand-checking, jumping, not sure where the ball really is sort of situation, both for the attacker and the defender. Both players in this situation are grabbing, grappling, landing from a jump, and off balance. To me, Awadesu's arm is not egregiously outstretched or in a position I wouldn't expect it to be in that specific situation. Therefore, I don't have a handball in this one. To me, the best outcome would be just to play on. I absolutely understand why Ben Olsen was so frustrated. Let's go to Dallas RSL, and this is a big play in the 57th minute. Willie Agada gets his second yellow for simulation, and he's off! Rosendo Mendoza is the referee, and he pretty immediately goes to the pocket. It does look like a dive. But on the broadcast, Jamie Watson says he sees contact from knee to foot on Agada, and if that's the case, I don't think you could call it a dive. It would be a penalty. But man, I gotta tell you, Jamie must just have better eyesight than me, which is very possible. I have no idea if there's contact on this play. I have checked all the angles and I just cannot be sure of anything. I believe there could be. I just don't have the evidence I would need to say it definitively, which would then tie the hands of the VAR Kevin Terry Jr. as well. This is a tough one for Willie Agada and RSL, or perhaps justice for FC Dallas. I wish I could tell you which of those. Let me know what you think. And we end with two from the Orlando-New England game. First off, possible penalty decision in the 49th minute. It's not called on the field by Rubio Vasquez, the referee, but in the end, after going to the monitor after urging from Daniel Radford, this is a penalty. Watch closely here. You got pretty high challenges here from both New England defenders on Gervais of Orlando, who is attempting to head this ball. In the end, I've got dangerous play and a foul. I see contact to the head, and those clearances are well over waist height. Contact, dangerous play, yeah, that's a foul and a penalty for me. Well done to Daniel Radford for recommending review on this one. And then here's the big play. This game ended 3-3, 82nd minute. New England get a penalty. Ganogo goes down under pressure from Thorhalson and Janssen, and I got nothing here, to be perfectly honest with you. Live, yes, it looked like they clipped him or stepped across Ganogo, but when you see that angle inside the goal, I'm not seeing contact. My preference here would be no penalty as a final result, but that's not how it works with VAR. I absolutely get why Vasquez made the call live. It looked like a penalty live, and once he does, Radford, the VAR, has to have clear and obvious evidence it wasn't a foul. And the angles for me, while extremely convincing, are not at 100% certainty, even if I have a strong opinion that there's no penalty on this play. That's a tough one for Orlando and for the referee crew. All right, that's it for us. If you see something, say something, please, with the minute. It's so helpful. Big thanks to my producer, Rich Hernandez, my editor, Aldo Bonita. I'm Andrew Wiebe. We'll see you next time.